What is this? Oh, you didn't know I was joining you. Do you want me to join you, right?
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you're running this thing.
I was just making sure. Um,
I'm here for the ride. What the hell did I just do? Oh, that's okay.
it's up on it's
Uh,
up on my page, so yeah, it should
yeah,
be
it's up.
up on
It's up.
yours.
I'm gonna go in there and I'm going to tag Ty hosted
Here we see.
by Ty Hudson. Here we go. Bam. Yep. All right, man.
All right.
We got what do we got here? 8 people on Facebook, main page, and YouTube. Yeah, we got enough people in.
All righty.
Get started. Yeah, we're good.
Super cool. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to get on here and talk
Get
about
started.
Pluto um, moving into the sign of Aquarius. And I think you and I have had a lot of conversations, and it kind of all my research into this has really backed some interesting stuff up that you and I have talked about.
Really?
Yeah, but I kind of want to go back in history a little bit and preface where
Okay.
we're really coming to. Um, because we're all feeling it, and
Right.
there's some features this year that are very specific that I want to get into for the next 6 to 8 months of what's going to really um, bring it forward. So instead of talking cryptically, I might as well just start. So, um, you know, maybe we should start with, what does Pluto represent? Um, Astrologically, where has it been? How long does it stay in a sign? And it's way the hell out there. So, of course, they thought they were going to declassify it as a planet because it's a very elliptical orbit. But the effects of Pluto have been felt tremendously because it connects to the masses and it connects to how the masses are processing their subconscious energy, which is our collective fears. So Pluto has, since 2008, been in the sign of Capricorn. And, since 2008, um, everything has become quite capitalistic. Corporations have definitely expanded their reach around the world. We saw those movies come out about the corporate takeover of everything. And in a lot of ways, Pluto and Capricorn is restriction of the masses. And I think
Mm.
we definitely have some areas where Pluto created restriction in the last couple of years. Um, so, death and rebirth, power struggles, facing our problems, running away from our problems are big Pluto influences. And um, living beyond regret is a big thing for Pluto's energy. And Pluto's problems are literally hate, jealousy, resentment, and rage.
Hate, jealousy, resentment. You mean that's something that it brings as a polarity to the good stuff?
Absolutely, death and rebirth, we must go through all of those energies to literally transform the shadow. So, Pluto is synonymous with the shadow and the transformation of the shadow into love and to live our destinies. And also, I think you would love this, Todd, that Pluto is synonymous with the soul.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
absolutely. Soul centered astrology, or what is his name? Jeffrey Green. He's the authority on Pluto. He wrote quite a few books.
Mm.
And he titles his books The Astrology of the Soul.
Wow.
So, Pluto in Aquarius. So, we come to the threshold now of Pluto coming into a new sign, and she will stay there until I believe it's 2043.
Wow.
So the cycle of Pluto since the late 90s has been expanding and getting longer. Now, before that, from the 70s until about 99, it was getting shorter. And every 234 years, Pluto comes closer to the sun than the planet Neptune and compresses our solar system and compresses the energy. And the height of that compression was pretty much from 1983 to the fall of the wall in 1999.
Wow.
And so Pluto was closest to the Earth from 83, and then by 99 it was pulling back out. So Pluto brings this energy of transformation of the masses, and we have some really key features that are showing up here in Pluto and Aquarius. So, what does Pluto and Aquarius really mean? Pluto in Aquarius literally is the transformation of individuality and also the transformation of actual community. So, I think even in the spiritual realm, a lot of people have become capitalist, and that's
Mm.
where the energy was for so long. And going by that from before 2008, everybody before that from the late 90s into 2008, it was about seeking our truth and getting to a deeper truth when Pluto was in the sign of Sagittarius. And moving into Capricorn, it's like, let's make usefulness of this. And so spirituality also became, let's make it useful. Okay. And maybe that entailed charging more money for things. Maybe that entailed corporatizing the spiritual reality. But
Mm.
as you and I know, that's not really going to hold its own in the future.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and interrupt me at any time, please, Todd.
No, you're good. You're doing great. I'm here to learn. It sounds like I don't know why I'm saying this. Maybe it's because of past conversations with you, but Pluto's so far out there, right? Like it's small, it's far, far away. You think it wouldn't have a lot of influence. You said they wanted to not name it a planet. Um, but it to me, and I don't know anything verbatim, but to me, it feels like, um, I guess the way you described it. Okay, so it has on the upside major opportunity and potential for serious, almost supernatural transformation kind of thing, and then on the other end of it is the extreme gnarly emotions that might be provoked by such a level of illumination. And
Yeah,
and yeah, that's
absolutely.
pretty heavy. That's deep, man.
You know,
Like
I. Mhm.
so do we care? So we are in a position to carry both, to to what, be open to both ends of that polarity that it offers. So it's good to know this. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
definitely moving from structure to revolution, and Pluto is a little package with a big boom. It's
Mm.
associated with the atomic bomb and was discovered when the atomic bomb was set off, also. It was actually discovered here in Flagstaff, just north of Sedona, at the
Really?
Lowell Observatory.
Oh, I didn't know that was there. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what's been going on the last couple years when Saturn and Pluto came together in 2019 and 2020 and was a huge destruction of karmatic patterns in the transformation of our own self restriction, self imprisonment, the imprisonment by institutions, all of that came up for change. And in 2021, Saturn came into the sign of Aquarius and preceded this Pluto in Aquarius. And Saturn has created restriction in individuality. And we've seen that in the world through fascism, we've seen it in the world through communism and other things like that, which
Demo-
precedes,
democracy.
well, well, if we can call it that anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. Yeah, it is fascism. What am I talking about?
Um, But this transition that we're coming into, community is the energy that meets those energies. And collectively, we are going through a transformation of individuality, which really allows us to show up and create individual rights, individual purpose, and also that each individual has something to actually share.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the true lifestyle of everybody's relevant.
Absolutely
Everybody, yeah,
inclusive.
yeah, all
Um,
inclusive. Yeah.
so, we're moving from structure to revolution, and the planet Chiron is playing such a big role in this Plutonian shift because literally learning how to live in the integrity of our own self leads to literally developing what community is. And this year we will have an expansion of community. But the part I really want to get to is that for the next 8 months, Pluto is going to square the nodes of the moon, the lunar
What
nodes.
what does that mean?
Well, it gets a little complicated, but let's talk about it for a minute. So, the
Hmm.
south node of the moon is where we experience loss. And over the last 18 months, we've been experiencing loss through power struggles through the sign of Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. So,
Hmm.
deeper power struggles. And I think for the last 18 months, everybody actually facing their stuff has been really big. And actually going through it and not avoiding it anymore has been a big feature. Um, and I may have just mixed up the south node and the north node. If any astrologers out there, you want to correct me on that. Um, but the north node is kind of our positive karma. The south node is what we came to work on. And so the subconscious energy is going to literally ask us if we are ready to live from our individual value. Are we ready to create from our individual value and revolutionize our reality? For example, vibrational technologies in the next decade or so will come forward more than they ever have. Um, and even technologies that we should have had a long time ago, hopefully, will also come through this Aquarian shift.
Hmm. I wonder what Pluto would do to those that might be playing antagonistic roles in this narrative that I would assume that it's a uniform. It's uniform in terms of its impact on everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about the dark side of Pluto and Aquarius. So, the dark side is sheer rage and sheer control. So, um, you know, um, literally, the imprisonment of individuality would be the dark side of Pluto. Now, the
Mm,
transformation of individuality would be the light side. And, I think they're pushing us more and more and more to stand up for our individuality and our collective individuality, whether it's people in other countries or around the world, really.
yeah, yeah. So really, you could look at it, yeah, because the dark is a player like the light. Like you could look at it like that antagonistic energy is actually the catalyst for us to step into this transformation of individuality.
Beautifully said. And I think that embodiment, and I think you've been talking, and a lot of people have been talking about embodiment, is literally where this actually happens.
Yeah.
And for so long in our communities, those that portrayed embodiment but didn't actually have it, um, are going to be exposed for all of that. And them figuring out how to embody also is going to be necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing something isn't, you know what I mean? Knowing something isn't embodied.
Right. Knowledge can never really take the place of knowing.
right.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And even when we know something, like we know from our soul, the human part of us still would have to embody it, have to apply it, which
Right.
is where like these extreme emotions, like a lot of people going through this 18-month period you're talking about, there was a lot of fluctuations emotionally. But I think through the process, we've come out the other side where we're not enemies with our emotions. So knowing that Pluto has that potential is just, of rage, is just another way of saying, at least to me, this is the level of power you're dealing with. So you can utilize it, or it can hand you your ass on a platter, basically. You know.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of the most karmatic planets in the zodiac. Um,
Hmm.
and it does, like we said, represent the soul. And in astrology, we look at Leo, the energy of Leo connecting to the soul's energy. And when Pluto arrives on the fifth house of someone's chart in the sign of Leo, basically, or the fifth house representing Leo, we always say that the soul is rising to the surface. So this is the exact opposite point of that, which is the embodiment of community that is developed through the creativity of the
Hmm.
community and the creativity of the soul itself. Um,
Man, if I didn't know any better, I would have said that we planned everything out, and I'm talking to all of us, for this moment. Like what you're talking about is what we're actually, in our own way, a part of.
absolutely.
You know, be it relationships, be it Soulogy and things like Soulogy. Uh, it's we'll talk about it tomorrow. We're gonna have that sneak peek, but I mean, it's pretty profound how organically and naturally everything is going. But I think that's reflective of uh, what's going on collectively,
Right, for sure.
and like in pockets anyway, like in communities, like a community.
Community,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, because I just got to get past this thing. Community is where you all live together. It's not. We're in a quantum environment, and this internet has helped us understand there's a connection, even though there's apparently a vast geographical expanse between the two people or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's something to ponder.
Well, and I think when we were talking before, you were saying that there's all this Pisces energy coming to this completion and all the Pisces people around you. You know, for Pisces people, this movement into Aquarius is very spiritual and will actually activate many Piscean people over the next, almost 20 years. Because it's going to sit on their solar 12th house. So it's going to be a big completion for Pisces people. Um,
What does that mean?
well,
Because I got like Pisces people all around me, including you.
absolutely. So, they're being activated to step into the roles that they came here
Hmm.
to really do.
Okay.
And their,
Okay.
their real mission should come forward. You know, when Pluto was in Capricorn for Pisces, it was literally more of the social awkwardness and not
Hmm.
being able to go with the social stuff all the way because it didn't feel right. There wasn't equality in it, so there were
Right.
power struggles through social and friendship things for the last cycle of Pluto and Capricorn for Pisces. So they bring a close to that, and Pluto is spiritually rules the sign of Pisces. And that's why it's so big. And I remember you and I were talking about that in my research. I was like, wow, this is really going to transform some things for some people. But I'd also like to go through every sign for what
Mhm.
this really means. Aries, the energy that you're moving out of since 2008 and this year had everything to do with career and how you put yourself out into the world. Um, and now it's going to show up in more community and social things. So all the tools that Aries learned through the last decade or more of integrity are going to help them help build the community. So our Aries people are the people that are the go-getters and that are going to get out there and tell everybody and get people to come and testify to the integrity of things and all of
Hmm.
those things. Um, Gemini, of course, is going to. Let me see. I'll do this in my head here. Um, let's see. Where is that at? Yeah, so Geminis are going to be stepping more into teaching roles and also getting really deep in the understanding of the deeper part of diplomacy and also self understanding and transformative levels of teaching and self understanding are going to show up in the next couple decades around Geminis.
Hmm.
Um, let's see here. Did I do that right? I think I did. I think I skipped Taurus in there, so let's get Taurus on there. Oh, yep, somebody said I skipped Taurus. I'm a dyslexic astrologer, you
Somebody
guys.
said it. Somebody caught that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Chanda, Chanda.
well, she's an astrologer, so she's definitely going to
Yep.
catch it. I'm definitely a dyslexic astrologer, so sometimes I do it backwards. Um,
You skipped Taurus. That's
oh yeah.
funny.
So Taurus. Let's see. So for Taurus, it's definitely going to be career oriented, and how
I think your mic is. Oh,
uh,
wait. That's probably me.
and how
Test,
they
test.
yeah, and how they put themselves out into the world.
Oh,
So
there you go.
leadership and all of that stuff is going to be a big part for Taurus. hmm And then Cancer really brings us to an interesting place here. Let me see here. Let me see what I'm looking for. Probably should have wrote that down before. But for cancers, this energy is going to create energy to create or destroy things. So cancers are going to get a big kind of shift with Pluto and Aquarius to really feel like they're not always sidestepping things and having more emotional community, I think, is going to be a big part for Cancer. Um,
Hmm.
Leos, of course, this is oppose them. So their creativity and how they put that out into the world. Like we've seen a lot of people come onto the show that are, scared shitless to get out in front of people, but they're doing it.
Hmm.
I think it's beautiful. Like we had the young lady come on, and I know
Yeah.
there's a lot more that want to come on and just get in there. Um, But let's see here. Virgo. Virgo is going to be all about relationships and soulmate connections and all of those fun things. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me back up a little bit. It's going to be more about service, Virgo. Um, Service, how you literally step into your shamanic reality is going to be more available for Virgo and more community. So you're not going to have to do it alone. Um, Libra. Let's see here. Yeah, so Libras and creativity are definitely coming forward. Um, and yeah, this is for Libra, their soul is going to be coming to the surface, and the proper use of their willpower is going to also be very, very important. And again, that level of creativity in how we relate communally definitely shows up for Libra. Scorpio, let's see here. Um, mhm, mhm, mhm. So Scorpio, it's really going to be about family, security, home, and the transformation of the fear of not having security um, is going to be really huge for Scorpio. Um, yep, Scorpio Sun or Scorpio Rising, of course. Yes. And like I said, I'm a dyslexic astrologer, so if I get some of these wrong, you guys can please correct me. I don't have to be right about. I don't have to be right about things. um, but yeah, then we have what do we got here? Sagittarius, um, and communication for Sag, and Capricorn is going to be about value because over this last period, we may have became too capitalistic and say we have to make things work for us. Um, so and make usefulness of it, and which may have led to some detachment. So communal values are going to show up for Capricorn. And then Aquarians, of course, this is your energy. So death and rebirth, power struggles for the early Aquarians in the first part of this is going to be pretty big. But it's going to really make it clear that it's time to put ourselves first. And I think that putting ourselves first means that we're ready to show up and have community. So I think we made
Wow.
it around the circle.
Uh, excellent. Randy Mahatma, Mahatma, I can't say that. Mahatma.
Uh huh.
Yeah, our brother. He said he asked a question. He said, "Is there a color? Can you tell the color that you are using within the birth sign? Is there a color relevancy to signs?"
Sure, sure. Light organizes itself in a very specific way in the universe. It literally organizes itself fractally, and each color represents a fractal organization of energy. And before you even read it, it's blue, Randy. It's like an electric blue.
Hmm.
Okay, it's coming through for yours, and I love your comment here. Collaborator of the Council of 12. Excellent. Excellent.
Julie Pershin, how will Leo's creativity be affected by the opposition?
Awareness is the energy of opposition. So, the awareness of the soul's purpose and functionality in community is what's going to show up for Leo. So, Leos, you guys need community in this one, and you need your Aquarian brothers to kind of, and sisters, to really balance, the big show. Because I think in the Leo energy, sometimes we put on the show, but the awareness of our individuality and the empowerment of individuality comes through
Hmm.
Leo. So Leos are going to really have the power to begin to empower others, just like Aquarians and just like the other fixed signs, because Pluto has been in a cardinal sign, which means contrary. Say one thing, do another. And as we
Hmm.
move into the fixed sign, which is more grounded in the material world, we're going to have to watch out for becoming too fixed in our thoughts. And if we become fixed in thought, then rage definitely can be a thing.
Hmm. I wonder if these extreme polarities, be it Pluto or, well, I guess Pluto's the one up on stage, isn't it? If we're going to see that play out, like, in other words, you're either one way or the other. There's not much in between.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, fixed signs bring that energy, and look at the fascist perspective, and the communist perspective around the world. I think my favorite, Klaus Schwab, he was, patting China on the back for being great, communist, and that's the model that the world needs. So you're seeing things come out like that, which is not very, what do we call it here? Democracy?
I call it bullshit. And now we can let loose because we got our own thing going.
You
But
know, right.
yeah, but that's what I meant. Like, what I meant was like, um, on an individual basis, that individual transformation that you're talking about occurring. We're watching it occurring ourselves and around people, other people, but at the same time, and that's huge. That's profound. Yesterday and today have been profound. But at the same time, you got a thing going out today, and they're saying there's a deadly fungus, and they want to block everybody up again. So that's what I mean. Like and that is driven by what? Greed and jealousy and all the things that you said were on the dark end.
Yeah,
So
and
this ought to be,
if there's a fungus out there that can do this, I can guarantee you it's man-made.
of course.
Absolutely. And the temperature that fungus regulates at should not affect the human body in a certain way. So if they've manipulated it to do so, things like this could destroy whole worlds
Oh yeah.
and is a complete violation, um, which means that we can get help from our friends. for what they've done, because they seems like all they want to do is continue the control mechanism that Capricorn started, because I don't think they
Right.
ever want to stop that. But the revolution of value is about 3.5 years in, and Pluto coming into Aquarius is going to really bump it up.
That's right. The stars are aligning. The planets are aligning. It sounds like it's a perfect fit. Of course, I don't know astrology, but like just hearing the description of the energies that are that are out there, and this happened today, which is a 33-6 according to Morgan. Power day. It's a palindrome. Uh, if you look at the palindrome and you add it up, it's equals 555 or something like that. I mean, and so like it's a signal. It feels like a signal.
Yeah,
And I guess for some it's the beginning of a bonfire, and for others it's the beginning of a incredible expansion, a race or something.
well, and I think it's also why we're hearing things about the next world war, and all of that has
Hmm.
been resurfacing, because every single time that Pluto goes into a new sign and makes it to the third degree, which will happen, I believe, next year or the year after, we go to war.
Yeah,
And it's happened since the 70s when it went in
yeah.
there, and you can basically set your watch to it.
I was watching. I like Mateus De Stefano, and he's put some pretty good interviews on a lot of small platforms in the last 2 or 3 months. But he was talking about he was the guy said to him, "Do you think there's going to be another world war?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "We had a chance." I think he said in the 40s. And anyway, he went on to describe this thing. And the way he's describing, you got to remember, he carries it the same way you do. Dark is an evil, and this is from the soul perspective. And so uh, he was saying that any time that there is a huge expansion of light, that the polarity is true too. So the idea was, or I guess the plan was, from a soul level that we all helped design in the recent and contemporary times, was the World War II and World War I were opportunities for us to come out on the other side of it and do the right thing, so to speak. And so what he was saying was is that there literally has to be this occur. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. It could be biochemical warfare, whatever, biological warfare, whatever. But the point being that on the other side of it, when the truth uh, is there for everyone to see, that will be our opportunity to embody, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have to go back to the 1930s. That's when Pluto was discovered, and a lot of astrologers believe that when we discover a planet, we're ready to process it. For example, the Industrial
Mm.
Revolution, we discovered Uranus. In 1901, we discovered photography, and we also discovered Neptune at the same time. And you can take a picture of something that's not there physically. Um, it's very Neptunian thing. Um, I think I brought up Chiron a little bit before too, because in 1977, we also began to look at an asteroid called Chiron that has an elliptical orbit, kind of similar to Pluto's, and it orbits in between Saturn and Uranus and is affectionately known as the Rainbow Bridge, which really represents our multidimensional awareness. And this year we will get an expansion of that multidimensional awareness when Chiron and Jupiter conjunct each other, which is happening pretty much now. Um, and, the Rainbow Bridge has everything to do with how we process the harmonics of our heart. And
Mm.
we've been out of alignment with the self on this planet for so long that we forgot magnetically what it is to live from the heart. And esoterically, Jupiter rules Aquarius, which means that the expansiveness of the heart is community. And, you know, the Rainbow Bridge, and Chiron is an asteroid which is about a little smaller than the Earth. So we can't even call the Earth a planet. They would call it a planetoid if we didn't live
Chiron
on
is
it.
an asteroid?
It's an asteroid,
Wow.
but it's actually just a little smaller than Earth, if that gives you any idea
That's wild.
of what they
That
consider.
that's wild.
hmm but you know, our multidimensional perspective has a 51-year cycle, and since 1977 was the discovery of it, we haven't made a full cycle when our multidimensional awareness was up, and we're going to be coming up on that in the next couple of years also. And all the people that were born in the mid 70s there um,
Uh-huh.
are literally the first generation to really have this in their awareness. See, we didn't have Chiron before, we didn't see it.
Okay.
And now that we do see it and its full cycle, a lot of astrologers have put a lot of stuff out and really, talked about Chiron's influence on what's really going to happen. And, the community aspect of things and how we begin to work together and head toward the age of Aquarius, which is literally 2147 is the actual age of Aquarius. So most of us won't be alive then, but we will be the precursors that those generations look to as the beginning of how this really, really began. And something before I forget, our Kundalini energy is also associated with Aquarius.
Mm.
And over time in our life, that energy rises up our system. For example, it is the way that we develop our individuality. For example, at 21, we have an identity crisis. At 42, we have a mental/emotional crisis. At 63, we have an upper identity crisis. And at 84, we return completely of Uranus's cycle. And this is why our lifespan also, and the way that we develop and the way that we process our individuality is really showing up here. And we've had the planet Uranus in one of its worst signs in Taurus, which means that literally the revolution of value is something we're all showing up to deal with. And when this happened 84 years ago is when fractional banking was created. It's when they took all the gold away. It literally transformed everything the last time it was in this sign. And it didn't transform it in a good way for the people. It transformed it in a good way for the bankers. Taurus.
Right.
So,
Yeah, the bull.
mm-hmm.
Um, what's this thing with okay, it's 28 March.
The 28th.
Planetary
Mhm.
planetary lineup of Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and Mars will all be visible
Mm-hmm.
and aligned.
Mm-hmm.
What's that all about?
Yeah, the
Sounds
personal
like huh?
the personal planets are making some very interesting moves this year, and we're just finishing up the Mars retrograde, and Mars has created all kinds of delays and has been really helping us reorganize our mental body for the last 5 or 6 months. And this summer, we're going to go through a Venus retrograde in the sign of Leo. And so, how we flow in our soul's flow itself, is going to go through a reorganization.
And this is when?
This is going to be late June to November of this year. Now, look
So
also at the
the soul goes through reorganization.
yeah. So
Wow.
retrograde means backwards in time, and so all the past issues around not trusting the self and not creating loyalty as the foundation of proper relationships is going to get realigned. And this is important, I think, the Mars and Venus thing, the masculine and feminine, because remember we talked about Venus squaring the nodes of the moon,
Right.
which are fixing to go into away from Taurus and Scorpio and go back into Libra and Aries, which brings Mars and Venus to the forefront. And is showing us, and we've been seeing this a lot on your show too, is the masculine has been reorganizing energy, and which means the feminine is going to have to reorganize. And the masculine reorganization has been the last 6 months. The feminine is definitely going to be um, in that late June to November in this Venus retrograde in Leo. And it starts at 28 degrees, which is a very special degree in the zodiac because it has to do with self mastery.
Mm.
And when any planet sits at 28 degrees in someone's chart, I usually consider that their self mastery point. And for you astrologers out there, I saw Jesus's chart, and he had 4 planets at 28 degrees. Um, um,
Wow.
and it told me something about that. There was a guy that called the Vatican, or from the Vatican, with a voice coder and gave an astrologer Jesus's actual birth information. And a client of mine and friend, you know her, she's on Soulogy here, Linda Carter. She sent it
Oh
to
yeah, yeah.
she sent it to me, and she goes, "I thought you'd be interested in that." And I would be like, "I'm totally interested in that," but my computer wouldn't cast the chart. So I had a friend that had Solar Fire, and we looked at it, and then we put the 33rd birthday on there. And let me tell you, everything in his story was in that chart. And I've seen plenty of charts that said this is Jesus, but this one was pretty damn convincing.
Wow.
Um, but 28 degrees is a very special point. 28, of course, the lunar return energy comes forward, and the self mastery of that degree is definitely going to reshift the feminine in a way to really um, understand that trust is the foundation of creating loyalty and soul connections.
Yeah. Yeah. That fits. That fits the whole masculine what last 6 months or whatever.
Right.
And the fact that that's what kind of I think it's confusing sometimes with the whole masculine feminine thing because whether you're talking about a person or two people or a collective, um, if you have if one expands, it's going to create a change in the field. You know what I mean? So that means the other one ultimately will expand. But then, it's like the chicken and the egg. It doesn't really matter who goes first. It's just the way it works. You can't have like an illumination without an effect. And because we're soul oriented, that response eventually is growth.
Yeah, it's like returning to the vibrational sciences. It's like returning to our vibrational awareness and literally creating from the vibration now, um, instead of trying to work out the outcome, and projection. Projection is this, man, it is this epidemic in everybody's reality. That's such a major problem for their own fulfillment.
Yeah. Yeah. I've come to a point just about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Just how you figure stuff out in your head. And I thought, you know what projection is? And I'm speaking to myself.
Hmm.
Projection is simply my inability to examine my own vulnerability.
Ooh, yeah,
So it's projected. So you know what I mean? I'm getting the hot potato out of my hands, but that's really what it is. It's an and I'm going to say it at this point in the game, it's an unwillingness, not an unconsciousness. It's less likely an unconsciousness because the universe is speaking too loud. So for me, it's like, okay, if I project, and I do occasionally, uh, I immediately go into, okay, there's something I'm not looking at, but in a different way. Like it's something I'm not looking at because it scares the hell out of me, right? Uh,
right.
but yeah, projection. It'd be nice to see projection fade now.
Yeah, it's like we're ending this restriction through fear and a revolution through the heart. And I think we had to go through fear being used as a tool to manipulate to really understand how powerful it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I got another one the other day too, a few days ago, and it was I wish I could remember the way it came in. It was perfect. But it was basically because we're in a quantum now, um, and because we're really becoming or refining our abilities as masters of energy each time we do, go on one of these incarnations. At this point, you're either irresponsibly manipulating energy by manipulating people. And because we're conscious creators now, this is the conversion is we become responsible manipulators of energy. And manipulate might be the wrong word because of the connotation, but um, yeah. And this kind of information coming in to one guy, I mean, it's happening to so many people. I just baffles me is I wonder what that number is. I guess we're going to find out.
I really like that manipulation to embodiment,
Mhm.
you know? And,
Yeah.
how subtle
Yes.
is the manipulation? It's quite subtle. And I've wondered for the last 10 years why certain people can't see it.
Well, you know what? Thinking about it here in the context you just put it in, it what I just described with that little thing was projection. What is manipulation? Uh, conscious or to, what is it? The codependency.
Right.
So, what is that? That's projection. You're basically pushing it off. You know, you're utilizing something else to get something you want, and not using your own energy, which is really your power.
Right.
God,
And,
this is crazy.
and then you end
Good
up feeding
conversation.
on the charge. Like that is going
Yeah.
to be, good sustenance for you. But it's
Right.
it's never filling. It doesn't fill you up in any way.
No.
That's why they have to keep manipulating to continually to be fed.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I do have some music prepared. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not prepared. I mean, I'm going to do it live. Um,
Okay. Meditation
yeah,
or what?
absolutely.
Yeah. Very cool.
I got the whole studio set up here. If there's any questions from the audience, of course, and also it would really be cool when we do the music if people wanted to post like their prayers for um, this new movement.
Oh, cool.
That would be really cool. Kind of like we do with
Yeah.
the sound with the lyrics,
Yeah.
on Mondays. But it'd
Yeah.
be
Like
be really
it's an interactive collaboration.
absolutely. It'd be really cool for them to put that up. And when we do that, if you guys got headphones, because you won't be able to hear the gongs on your speakers without it.
I'm going to. You should take me off of the screen.
Yeah, I can take you off. Do you want to stick around, or you just want me to end it?
Uh. Well, no, I'm going to participate. I
Okay.
mean, yeah. I mean, you can end it when it's over.
Okay.
I mean, but
Cool.
I'm just taking me off the screen so you can get the whole shot of the studio.
Cool. And just mute yourself.
Yeah, I'm
But
going to take that off. I'm gonna
before
take
we
my
do
mute off.
that, is there anything else?
No, just it's certainly a powerful day. I mean, everything's pointed this way, and I don't know. I mean, it's this is to me this was a great episode because it's real time intel. I learned some things, and um, yeah, I'm just. But tomorrow we have that sneak peek at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. I'll check my pages or check our pages or put them out. I think it's 2 p.m. New York City time. Yeah, I think that's right. 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 in London, and about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning in Australia. But we're going to have a sneak peek of the site and talk about some things. And um, yeah, so yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and mute and take myself off the screen, and then you're just going to end it when we're done?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
All
cool.
right. And if anybody's driving out there, you're probably going to want to not listen to this while you're driving.